Some people have said that sometimes my voice is a little hard to understand. I mean, I can usually understand what I'm saying. But I guess I could see why you might think that. But I was thinking, what if this was my normal voice? What if this is how I always talked? Yeah, you could really get some sort of complex about that. Like, I wish people could understand what I was saying. I mean, I just gotta keep living my life. I can't just not talk.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that intro was weird, right? Intro's usually kind of weird on this show. I don't quite know what's going on there. I guess, yeah. You're supposed to, with these YouTube videos, really just try to grab their attention right from the top, because there's so much choice out there. People could just click away and not watch to the end. Or maybe they'll skip around and look at some other parts. So yeah, I guess that's my attempt here to make sure the beginning's just real shiny and straightforward, not off-putting in any way. How's it going? If you're hearing this, if you're listening to this, I honestly hope that you're well, that you're doing all right, and that you're taking care of yourself. Trying to be the best person that you can be, because, well, yeah, I guess it's good to have other loved ones to help you out, but the thing is that a lot of people out there don't really have your best interest at heart. So you really do have to look out for yourself and try to have some discernment about your reality and your surroundings. And I'll be the first to admit that yeah, it's easy to fall into destructive behavior, that doing things that are cool or things that you think, I don't know, your friends would like or you think would be cool. But in the end, yeah, I think you got to do whatever you can to fight against that and just step back constantly from reality and yeah, try to choose, is this really the best situation for me or the best idea, or is it something that I saw on the TV and the entertainment that made me want to think that thing? I think, yeah, it's my most main important interest, that the media landscape, everything from fiction to news, and how it shapes our minds. That it does all the work for you, so you don't have to do what we're talking about right now. Honestly, think about your life and your choices and what you're doing. And I'm not saying like, right, remember how your life is like that one episode on blank, and they also went through that trouble with addiction or domestic abuse or something, right? And you're reflecting and thinking about that episode or that news article and how the people in that interacted and reacted to each other. Well, yeah, there's a chance they may be giving you good advice, but there's also a chance that they're giving themselves good advice. They're telling you what they want to have happen, and there's a good, yeah, there's, I don't know, good chance, it depends on the situation, but there's a chance this will not be good for you. So that's all I'm saying. Just stay aware out there. Now let's just rock on over here to the news. yeah, as I like to say, the show was, I don't really want to make the show about me personally and my life and all that kind of stuff, but I can use what I've experienced and the places and things that I've seen, and yeah, it may help you. It may also help me just to talk through it and make it clearer in my mind. But not right now. Let's get into the news. Now, here's a headline for you. Trump delivers on pledge for wealthy California farmers. If we try to tease this apart, so what is this trying to get us to think, right? First of all, we hate this guy, right? Monster on par with, I don't know, like a diamond pressurized version of all the bad guys from World War II just combined together. Like this guy. Obviously a monster, but that's not being done in this article specifically. Well, but in this headline, it already is actually, right? So it already seems from the headline like pledge for wealthy California farmers. We obviously don't care about the wealthy people, right? We generally just think they're dicks and should be taxed more somehow. And yeah, support just humankind a little bit better. And Trump would definitely be lumped in with the wealthy as well. I would argue because they stick together, right? And that's what we already see from the headline that, oh well, he's just helping out his rich friends, and maybe these farmers are just total jerks. And yeah, this is almost too boring to get into specifically on the details of what's going on here. Yeah, but expect it to be twisted and sort of a version of the truth that is maybe not supporting or portraying our food source in the right way. And yeah, maybe he's gonna sell off all the water. Maybe it's already been done. It's hard to say even if you do go through and read this article what is really going on, especially in California. It's a giant place, a lot of money, a lot of things going on. Right. Oh, and what's up? It looks like we got Red Storm in the chat. I'm not saying personally that I think he's a monster. I like to reserve my own thoughts for not on the show because I don't know if it's that relevant, and there is just I think way too much of that kind of content around here. Of people saying, well, that thing's bad or this thing is good, and look at this terrible thing or whatever. I'm more interested in picking apart the opinions and takes that headlines like this from ABC News are embedding and implanting in us, right? Yeah, because I try to get into the mindset of if I was reading this article and I was just buying everything front to back, that I had no actual doubts and I trusted ABC News with everything, with my unborn child, and I trust them to tell me the truth on everything, right? So I think it's really important to try to put your mind into other people's minds, especially when it comes to this kind of inflammatory, divisive kind of stuff. Because I think that's the only way you can get out of the trap yourself. Because if you're finding yourself on one side or the other of one of these classic debates here, like Trump, right? It's obvious that you have to choose. Are you for or against that man? Are you with him or are you not? And yeah, my personal thoughts on the matter, I don't even. It's like a different show, basically. I think it's more interesting to try to figure out what they're wanting us and expecting us to think about things, and then going from there, because the truth is after that. right? They're going to do all their spinning. And I am curious, but maybe will read this article a little bit later. But there's obviously issues and a battle going down with water rights. And we saw that in Australia, them having all this water and not being, it being privatized basically, and not being able to be used for the fire, any of that. And even that itself, I think, is some sort of bizarre smokescreen. No pun intended. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much truth you're going to find in any of these articles that I show you. But it's sort of like looking through a curved mirror that you can maybe see around a corner actually. And yeah, the news really is sort of like a curved mirror. So right, let's try it again with something different, right? Everybody likes babies, right? Who doesn't like babies? Especially I guess if you're a Satanist and like to eat them, then you also like babies. But who doesn't like, right? Just regular, not eating the babies, just looking at them. Look how cute it is. It's a baby. It's a baby. A mom called 911 because she desperately needed baby formula. The police delivered. So, right, CNN really just heavily trusted news source here, delivering you this feel good story, right? Let's read the tagline. From flat tires to possible home invasions, the officers within Lone Peak Police Department in Utah are used to dealing with a variety of 911 calls. But at 2 a.m. on January 28th, they received one unlike any other. A mother was in need of baby formula. Damn. And they helped her out, right? The cops helped out the baby. You can't just leave this baby hanging. And I guess I don't know. I would tease a couple things out of this. I think the sadder, more crazy part of this story is that anybody living in a developed society doesn't have the money to pay for baby formula. There obviously seems something weird there, and I think that's I guess the question that you're supposed to be asking in the back of your mind, like, what is the issue with society that this lady can't pay for her baby formula? And right, obviously good that the cops came to the rescue, and I guess they came by and brought the baby formula, right? But obviously, I guess the people in Utah, in the local area here, that this is a thing now, that they're all going to start calling, and I guess they're going to start to have to turn some people down. They can't just be handing out baby formula to the entire state of Utah, right? Yeah, and I guess the first question would be like, why don't you just breastfeed? It's better and more natural. But I guess she has some complications, and I guess she's not even like a poor. She doesn't look very poor in this picture. She called her husband, who was out of town, to see whether he had any ideas or what she could do. She called the neighbors and family, and nobody was awake. Her four children were just loading up in the car and driving on snowy roads to buy formula at the store. It didn't seem like an option, right? She can't just, well, and then you might as well just call 911. And this is obviously this whole story is just sort of paper distraction, trash for your mind. I guess to achieve a couple things, that if you happen to stumble upon this article, right, you feel better about the cops in general, who I guess have had not so decent press in the recent past. And yeah, babies, like that's gonna get you clicks. I guess it got me to click. But that's the question. What is the agenda here? Because there always is going to be one. That you're not going to find a news article that isn't pushing you towards some idea or concept. I dare you. I dare you to find one. Findings from NASA's Juno update Jupiter water mystery. NASA's Juno mission has provided its first scientific results on the amount of water in Jupiter's atmosphere. Published recently, Juno results estimate that at the equator, water makes up about 0.25% of the atmosphere, almost 3 times that of the sun, which is very interesting here, comparing it to the sun, because I have heard many, many accounts and stories about the electric universe, and that possibly Jupiter or Saturn used to be the sun, and that's why there is all this sort of Saturn worship, and that maybe a gas giant is it, and a star, it's a lot more fluid and closely related than you would think. And so that may be the little hint that they're dropping here. Obviously, when you're reading scientific articles, the push is going to be a little different, because it's mostly like internal science people that are reading it. So they may be having an agenda there, trying to convince other people as well, and especially from a major organization, right? This is actually by JPL, so they're going to have a vested interest in, yeah, creating excitement, I guess, and pushing space travel forward, which I guess is less scary than other agendas that you might find in different news articles. The leading theories about its formation rest on the amount of water the planet soaked up. Water abundance also had important implications for the gas giant's meteorology and internal structure. While lightning, there's again that electric universe thing, a phenomenon typically fueled by moisture, detected on Jupiter by Voyager and other spacecraft, implied the presence of water. An accurate estimate of the amount of water deep within Jupiter's atmosphere remained elusive until they figured this out. The amount of water the Galileo probe measured appeared to be still increasing at the greatest depth measured, far below where theory suggests the atmosphere should be well mixed. So it seems that there is a lot more water on Jupiter than I guess they were actually thinking. But that's my question here for JPL and the rest of you guys, right? We see the 33. How much of this actually is real science, and how much of this is sort of not a direct fabrication, but sort of a bending and twisting of what's actually going on up there? Because I mean, what do you want to bet that an organization like JPL actually does know the truth about space and the nature of the universe, electric universe, or flat, or otherwise? I think these guys are going to know what's going on there. And so what is their agenda? I guess just to get more money, to get more things to go out to Jupiter. But a lot of this space exploration stuff is critical at moving the grander agenda forward. I think that's why there's so much sci-fi and entertainment, picturing us being out there, having a base somewhere around maybe one of Jupiter's moons or something, and then being able to take direct, human done samples or whatever. I guess not with a robot. You could get actually humans out there to go figure out what's going on here. So yeah, science articles definitely, from phys.org. I do tend to actually enjoy the science articles more, just because there isn't so much the heavy agenda, the very heavy agenda. But I guess I spoke too soon, because let's check this one out real quick too. Engineers devise a decision map to identify the best mission type to deflect an incoming asteroid. So yet again, I would argue that if there is any sort of, if all of this is actually happening, or asteroids and space and all that kind of stuff, that all the guys with the big money, people like MIT, that they're going to actually know what's going on up there. And something like this with an asteroid, they're gonna also know that yeah, it's on its way and it's gonna hit in 2030, sometime mid-December, and it's just too big. It's too big to knock out of orbit. All of those kind of things. I mean, what was that show called recently? I was looking at that show about the asteroid with what is it? It's got like a fake Elon Musk trying to stop the asteroid. Yeah, and this whole concept of an asteroid hitting us has been seeded into the culture for years at this point. It's another one of these very powerful images on par with I don't know, the black holes or the second coming, or it's really just seems to be yeah, almost up there with zombies and vampires. I would say asteroids are definitely hot and heavy in the entertainment and the news cycles as well. So that's my question to you now. Do you think they already have the plan, that this is a disclosure of the real plan? Because this is the one you hear about often, Apophis 99942, which again, just a fascinating number that they chose randomly. The Egyptian god of chaos, and we all know how much the fancy people in charge love this guy. It's or not this guy, just this culture. There is obviously something about Egypt that is much deeper and darker and more intense than I think any of us have actually heard about, unless you're in one of these secret societies. Yeah, suggest like I was saying, so sometime around 2030, and then its next flyby in 2036, and this one could actually be hitting us at some point. And they're saying, yeah, more recent observations say it may go by without a problem. There's been tons of asteroids that have been heavy in the news cycles that aren't Apophis, that have been threatening. Oh well, they didn't see this until it was too late. And now it's ultra close, but luckily it's just gonna squeak by, and we're gonna be fine. I must have I must have read at least 24 articles like that over the past couple months, just talking about an asteroid that obviously like has no chance of actually hitting us, and then doing all this big drama about, well, it's gonna hit us, and right, and that's again that gets my feelers back up, because that's putting you in that fear cycle, right? That this thing is going to happen and I have no control over it. And what are we going to do? We can't just let the earth explode like in all those thousands of movies that are just papering our culture at this point. We can't let that happen. What are we going to do? Well, I don't know. Do you have a rocket ship? I don't have a rocket ship. I guess we're kind of screwed. We really need to talk to the rich, fancy people in charge to help us out here. Otherwise, what are we going to do? And just like with climate change and all of these other agendas, all of it's leading towards, well, we're headed for annihilation, and the only thing left to do is band together as a planet to save this whole thing. It's our only chance. Speaking of agendas, it's yet another one. Here's from an MIT technology review. They haven't been running this as much recently, but there was so much talk about cybersecurity and the threat of, I guess, Russia coming in and taking over the grid and shutting down key infrastructure things, right? It's not just about stealing your password and your bank account numbers. It's about being able to remotely control big infrastructure things like American gas pipeline. And here's just another feel-good story to relate to that pile of already probably hundreds of articles about the same subject. Ransomware took an American gas pipeline operator offline. Oh my God, what are we going to do? Can you feel the fear already coursing through your veins? Well, that's obviously not a good sign. You're fine. You're probably just sitting at home, like watching YouTube. So, right? But anytime you get that pulsing, that quickening of your breath, then you know you're under the spell again. And you, yeah, I would advise you to take a step back every time and try to check it out again. Try to check it out again. Hackers attacked an American natural gas compression facility with ransomware, according to the government, obviously. The attack started because an employee clicked a spear phishing link, a fake link. Yeah, we know what a spear phishing link is. Okay, so right, we probably all clicked on some bad email that was forwarded to us, and I don't know, went into the spam folder or something. It's hard to talk about cybersecurity without taking 12 steps back. Obviously, depending on the agency that we're talking about, they have us all rooted. Everything has backdoors from just the basic SIM card to all forms of storage. Everything, really. There's not a hard drive on the market that doesn't have a backdoor. And it just depends on which level in which circles we're talking about that actually has access and knowledge of that backdoor. And they're patching holes all the time. Obviously, people report things, and there's big international sort of community of people looking for vulnerabilities in major software. But there's other things that just, yeah, it's too zero day. It's too hard to get to, and honestly, the people in charge, whoever they are, they have a vested interest in those backdoors not getting filled. So just like with all, a bunch of the previous stories, they tried to say, oh well, these the Russians tried to hack that grid or this grid or whatever. I mean, who knows if this phishing attack was directly related and an attempt on the grid itself? But MIT is going to tell us impact. The immediate effect was that hackers encrypted data on the victim's network. The company was unable to read the data, which shut it down for 2 days. So it was, yeah, like they were saying, just ransomware. And the nature of ransomware, I guess if you're actually into that kind of thing, is to just spread it around as much as possible. You can go online and just find, yeah, basically infinite hacked accounts and send them an email, send them something. But then you got them, and then I guess you lock their computer and you hope that they'll be dumb enough to pay the Bitcoin ransom or whatever. And also, if you are doing a lot of computing and you don't have a backup or any sort of cloud storage, both in the cloud and also in cold storage in some sort of disconnected hard drive, well, then I feel like you sort of deserved it. And especially if it's a major infrastructure facility like this, regardless of malicious hackers trying to get in, you're going to want to back up information like this. And I guess that's the argument here, that it started to infect the rest of the system. Hackers' action resulting in human-machine interfaces going offline. Right, but that's buried down here at the bottom of the article. In no time did the threat actor obtain the ability to control and manipulate operations. But that's exactly what I think you're supposed to believe if you only read the headline and don't read the article, right? If you just read this headline, you're like, ransomware took an American gas pipeline operator. Oh! guys, they got us. We're totally fucked. They're just going to blow up the entire pipeline. I can already picture it here, just fire shooting out of every single possible corner of it, and all the gas just leaks into the environment, and it's just a total, just right. If you just read the headline, that's what it seems like you should believe and think. But we only read to like the second paragraph, and they say that none of that is what they're actually talking about. That's not what's happening. It was just a ransomware attack like there are just hundreds of thousands of them all the time. But the point, before I move on, is that obviously they want to lock down the internet and have some form of internet ID that maybe just like on your phone, you have to scan your fingerprint real quick before you can actually log in. And it won't just be a nice, fun, convenient, cool toy that your phone does. It's going to be mandatory. And if your fingerprint scanner's dirty and your hand is sweaty, well, too bad. You're going to have to just keep trying until you log in. Because we can't let this continue to go on. It's threatening our operational security, right? And again, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that that's all fake lies. But it's important to, I think, try to figure out what we're supposed to think, quote unquote, and then escape from that. I think it's the only way to any form of peace and happiness in your life, because otherwise you're just up and down on this roller coaster. Oh shit, dog, they got us. Where in reality we're probably all right. Probably. We may get totally fucked by this reoccurring plasma apocalypse that is on its way. And that seems like it's a real thing. I don't know if people would be doing stone carvings if it wasn't. Solar storm underway, wind is pouring in, which could lead to tech blackout. And I've been hearing this also from a lot of sources, more on the fringe, that obviously there is some sort of crazy solar activity going on. The solar cycle, we're heading into that solar minimum. It's gonna decrease the magnetosphere and let us get bombarded by these solar storms. And the weaker our magnetosphere gets, the more sensitive, susceptible we will be to things like these solar storms, to where it's really just a numbers game. If the sun is pointing towards us and has a flare of just enough size that everything with the circuit board in the path of that thing is gonna fry. It's not gonna be just ransomware, it's gonna be totally cooked. Everything I'm looking at. Almost everything I'm looking at, it's gonna get What? There we go. That's what I'm talking about. I got my bumper in just in time. Damn, dog. It just went. The show just went. And we still didn't get to the title article. Fuck, dog. All right. Well, yeah, definitely watch out for the plasma apocalypse that is on its way. But just in our post interlude, post show section, let's just check this out real quick. So, right, again, I know on probably relatively good authority that we are super dumb when it comes to space travel. That there's a lot cheaper, easier ways to actually get material up into orbit, be it low Earth orbit or anything else, and that we could easily already be having gigantic, like Star Wars style battleships up in space, because it's much easier than we're told to actually get into space. But there's all this rigmarole around, the rocket and the expense and all that kind of stuff. So, and here's another just thing to add to that, because obviously, if you think rockets and this is the best we can do, and Elon Musk is working triple time with his engineers to try to figure out a good way, then yeah. But if it's all planned obsolescence and just kind of a fake arms race, then you can run articles like this constantly to say, well, we're just on the cusp of this new discovery and we just need a couple more days. Wait, I gotta switch back. We just need a couple more days or years or months, and we're gonna figure this one out. And this is the thing that's gonna revolutionize space travel. Right? When in reality, they really have another technique that they already use all the time that is hyper effective, cheap, and easy. But in order to cover up that, right, you have to act like they're looking for innovation in other directions. And yeah, sure, send over some grant money, have them do a big study, see if they can figure it out. When in reality, it's all just sort of a big fat waste of time and money. And we could be building Star Wars already at this point, right? And this is just a cool picture, crazy science machine. But the idea is that instead of controlling the flow of, I guess, propellant out of the rocket, which takes a bunch of sort of ingenuity and know-how and time and money and all that kind of stuff, that you would actually just let it explode on its own. And that's the concept here, that you start the first explosion and then there's sort of like a chain reaction there that continues to blow the thing up. But the idea, it talks about this, the rotating detonation, that the explosion would sort of go around in a circle, and you wouldn't have to have many more moving parts. Damn it, the bumper. I'm out of show. Well, I'm gonna have to run that bumper anyways again. Yeah, right. Rotating the detonation. That there is actually something here, and they're studying it. They got the cool graphics here where they're like, oh well, that's what's happening. This is like some crazy ultra slow motion camera, 27,000 frames a second, and that's actually what if they shape the nozzle or whatever correctly, that you can create this sort of circular stabilized explosion, and that the explosion is just like it's exploding, and it's burning the rest of the propellant, but it's like stabilizing the rest of it. And that's what it says: after the initial shockwave, stable pulses continue to consume available propellant until it's used up. And that, yeah, you could get rid of a lot of the machinery that's used to direct and control the combustion, and therefore the whole thing could be made cheaper and better and faster, and we could get to space, guys. Right. But yet again, I don't mean to be pessimistic, but yeah, I sort of know for basically a fact that all of this is sort of pointless, that there is a much easier, cheaper way of getting into space, and it's being used not by us, and it's being used by us humans. I'm thinking, but it's not being talked about. It's not being presented. It's not going to get rolled out. The inventor is not going to get a Google Doodle, and that information is kept secret and used for different reasons. And then, yeah, I don't know. We're left here just sort of playing with our rocket engines, trying to find the best way. And I have no doubt that the scientists working on it are trying as hard as they can. They're trying to figure this one out. They really want to lower the cost, and yeah, I'm sure these engines will get used in the future, and we will see a ramp up as we head further and further out into space, and more energy is put into space, right? And that's related to that Jupiter article and the rest of all of it. But the fact still remains that it's just a big bait and switch. Don't need to do this research. Don't need to spend this money. Don't need to. We could already be out there. And then, obviously, the next question is why? Why would they be doing that? Can't they just give us the rockets? Can't we just all be like a spacefaring society together? There's got to be a reason then why. Oh, well, maybe it has to do with this whole thing that we keep talking about, that all the news articles and television shows and everybody's trying to funnel us towards this move towards a more cohesive humanity, a more collective action-based species that isn't just left to its own devices, where we all need to agree and then work together towards that common goal. Because otherwise we're never going to figure it out, right? Yeah, and I guess in one sense I can see why that's so important and why it'd be worth all this lying, all this deception and misdirection. Maybe it's worth it. Then again, maybe it's totally not. Maybe it's totally not worth it. But who am I? Who am I to say? Who am I to say? I don't know. I don't know. I do know I'm gonna end the show. Hit that stop button pretty soon here.
But first, I gotta do some singing. It's part of the vibe that the show has this like singing thing at the end, and you're not really supposed to understand what I'm saying. But like, if you listen closely, I'm pretty sure you can. Think about it.
All right, guys. Stay safe out there. Keep it real. And yeah. Think. Use your mind.